here to talk about the Venus Gate we have tomorrow at 5:19 a.m. Eastern Time in Libra at 1 degree and 8 minutes. Couldn't help but notice the 108 symbolism there. And this reading's a little different because since the sun is in the center of Scorpio now, the veil is incredibly thin. And I think also with Saturn going direct in Pisces, there's just like a lot of revelation energy that in combination with the 11:11 portal coming up. And so all of these things have been flowing through to me through, it really started by looking at a map of my own land, which actually connected me to the Holy Land. And so it's really interesting that we have this Venus gate of the throat chakra. And the war that's going on right now in the Gaza Strip is the throat chakra of the earth and the 11th gate. So it's really interesting through all of this research that I was doing to try to kind of figure out the history between this conflict between different religions over time. I could not nail down anything, honestly. Like it's a lot of information, and it's been happening for thousands of years. But I just trusted where I was led. And one of the people I was led to in this whole story was Moses, because this throat chakra area includes the Mount of Olives and Mount Sinai, where Moses supposedly received the 10 Commandments. And when you look into Rudolf Steiner's work, Moses was the first person, or one of the first Israelis, who was gaining intellectual consciousness. So this was before we had egos, and we all were clairvoyant. We were more of a hive mind, and we were connected with nature. We were connected with everything. The Egyptians were highly clairvoyant, and they did their part in civilization to retain the knowledge of that through their stone inscriptions and hieroglyphs, the pyramids, all of that, right? It's preserved. It's been preserved for thousands of years. So it was actually humanity's destiny to evolve. We're always evolving. And it was our destiny to start to let go of a predominantly clairvoyant culture worldwide and come into developing an ego. And the reason for that was for us to develop our intellect. And where that would lead us to is to be able to see that we are a part of the divine. So this would allow us to begin to understand, and what we're coming into now would help allow us to understand the science of the unseen and the science of spirituality and our connection to the whole and our connection to everything beyond just pure clairvoyance, because the pure clairvoyance was more like a dreamlike state. And we needed to develop the ego to actually be able to find out like reasons for things and start to understand how this material reality works. And so with that came all the shadows as well. So we transformed from this like polytheistic culture into a monotheistic one. And the reason behind this was to help us identify the I am that I am, and to focus on one energy that was God. And this would eventually take us through the steps to self-realization, that power runs through all of us. And so we see this war happening now, and well, many wars. And what I feel is that as long as humanity is seeing a God outside of themselves and they're in this separation kind of state, I just see violence continuing, where it's this argument of my God versus your God, rather than seeing that we're all connected to the same thing. So throughout the evolution of humanity, things are always gained, which means that certain things have to die and certain things have to be let go of or sacrificed. So we sacrificed our clairvoyance to gain reason and ego, and now we're sort of starting to sacrifice parts of the ego that are no longer serving us and reclaiming some of our clairvoyance and our psychic abilities. And so for whatever reason, I was led to look at the 7 root races that Manly P. Hall and Helena Blavatsky talk about. And according to their system, looking at humanity as like the evolution of humanity developing through 7 groups of races or evolution, within each group, there are 7 sub-races. And we move through, these 7 sub-races are cultural. They don't necessarily represent our spot in evolution. So they all work together, right, to get us there. And all of our souls choose what race we're going to be, what role we're going to play out. And all of us have been all of the races that have already passed. So we come in and we play out these different parts to evolve our soul and to learn about each other and learn about all the different expressions of creation and source and the human journey. So we're in the larger group of the 5th root race. And it's interesting, this whole category for the whole world of the 5th root race is actually called the Aryan race. And when Hitler came in, he skewed that term and made it all about, just the blonde hair, blue-eyed Aryan race. Like he desecrated that term when it actually was a term for everyone. There was no I'm better than you. And so here we see this conflict. It's the same thing playing out over and over and over. So within these sub-races, there is the 6th sub-race called Nova Men, who begins the new cycle that will lead us to the next larger race of humanity, the 6th root race. And so I don't want to go super in depth with this. Hopefully you're still with me to this point, but I wanted to kind of talk about what they list in these root races. So the Nova Man is under Helena Blavatsky's system, and the next one from that, what the Nova Men will bring in for the next souls are indigo children and star children. So that will be the last section of this whole root race that's developing right now, and both the 6th and the 7th will lead us to the next root race. And this will take years and years and years, but the 6th root race, according to Manly P. Hall, will develop 2 spinal columns, heightened sense perceptions, and will be androgynous, and they will use their larynx to create. So they'll be using the word. And this has been coming up over and over and over again in my readings about purifying our consciousness, trying to be our most authentic selves so that our words are creating a reality that aligns with that. So we're creating something better rather than perpetuating harm. And eventually, when we finish this whole larger cycle, you could think of like the Yuga cycle, humanity will become the 7th root race. And then the spinal columns reunite, the physical becomes spiritual, and these souls become the sons of will and yoga who realize they've dreamed themselves into form and that this whole evolution has taken place within them. So in a way, I almost see looking at these root races as an internal journey that we can look at metaphorically for how we develop spiritually. And there is that point, there's these points where we separate, we see these separate parts of ourselves, our light and our shadow, and when we integrate it, they come back together like those spinal columns. When we integrate it, they come back together like the male and the female, the sexes come together. And when you reach those, like, there's like minuscule moments in your life perhaps that you reach where you realize that we're all of it, and we're dreaming ourselves into reality and into what could be a dream or a nightmare, or it's both. You kind of come into that seventh root race way of being. And so however we are in this lifetime is where we're meant to be. And so when I say all of this stuff, I'm not judging anybody who doesn't have that state of consciousness. I just have felt guided to talk about this and talk about it in the most objective way possible. And it's just about the evolution of humanity. And so this is going to blow, well, it blew my mind. I don't know if it'll blow your mind. I went to look at the Sabian symbol for this Venus gate. And it is the light of the sixth race transmuted to the seventh. I had no idea that was a Sabian symbol before I was led to study these root races. And it says we aspire towards the ideal by being authentic in every moment. And it's about a centered sense of self as a creative power. So it's coming back to this point of the source is within and throughout everything and throughout all of us. And in the picture of this Sabian symbol, there's an illustration with it. There's these people walking across a bridge. And I don't know if you're watching, you can go back to my eclipse video from the Taurus eclipse. And the Sabian symbol was a bridge built over a gorge, something like that, right? And I had drawn this, like the rainbow bridge, and I was talking about how the sun and the moon were bridging the conscious and the unconscious. And so in these moments of evolution, there are people who are able to cross the bridge, and there are people who are not. And it's okay, because we just come back as another version of ourselves, and we do it differently. We do it in some other way. We're all playing our roles out in different ways. But if you're watching this, you're probably crossing the bridge. And there's something here for you to learn about. So one of the things I was inspired to do as I was reading about all of this symbolism is I want to have an 11:11 meditation at 11:11. And I'm going to play, and we can chant along with Om 108 times, because this aligns with that throat chakra of the world where all this violence is happening. And my intention is to bring peace and love and attention to that 11th gate throat chakra of the world through the sound of creation, Om. And if anything, you'll just feel really good afterwards, So I think that's a part of the key too, is finding peace within ourselves, so that that reverberates through the world as much as it can. I'm gonna pull a few cards because this has been kind of a wild ride of information, and I want to see what the cards have to say in correlation with everything. Spring equinox rebirth. I keep getting this message too, which is interesting. We're coming to the end of the year, but Scorpio season does encapsulate rebirth. And I keep getting messages about a new era, a rebirth, spring, seeing some of the seeds sprout that we've planted. It's an interesting time of year for this, and it feels like we're getting an early start on next year for some reason. I always love to pull a card from my Venus Gate deck for rose gates. They are rose gates for Venus gates. I think I just mixed up all my words. Sophia, divine plan, wisdom, intelligence within, destiny. So this is just telling us to trust everything, how it's unfolding, because there is a larger plan, a larger cycle we're all a part of, which I cannot possibly articulate as hard as I just tried to give you a glimpse into it. But Sophia is that womb of creation, and it can be scary for a lot of people to be in the unknown. But we just have to trust that what's gestating is what's meant to be. And it could be a lot of things. She holds it all, you know? Rebirth is in every new moment. I agree. In every breath, right? We get to choose. We get to choose our state of being. Earth pulsing, pulse of the mother, slow down, time in nature. This message has come up over and over again lately to balance this like scorpionic energy, to ground. And it's wild because this feels like, oh, interesting. I just noticed this is a woman laying down here. This is how this information came to me. Through the brooks on my land, actually. The Titus Brook flows to the Oliverian Brook, and all of these little clues brought me to these pieces of history that connect to the Middle East, actually, which is fascinating. And I feel like all of the patterns of the universe are in plain sight in nature right before us. Before I pull a goddess, I'm going to pull an Atlantis card, because Atlantis was the last larger age that we were a part of, and we see recapitulations. Ooh, source. Akashic record light activation, and this card is all about connecting to that source. So if you don't have to believe anything I say, go within and figure out what you believe, what you learn, through meditation, through dreams. Allow yourself to have this quiet time in nature for this waterfall to come in, and this is like spirit informing you. I'm just hearing like the right place, the right time. Trust where you're led. And I'm going to pull one more card from my Goddess Oracle deck. Let's see who wants to support us through this incredibly energetic time. I mean, we just had the eclipse. Now we have this throat chakra gate. Then we have 11:11, and then we have the new moon in Scorpio. Okay. These are like the little archons. The Arrhenius crisis. Let me read this one, because I can't remember exactly what these guys are all about. Obviously, parts of the world are in crisis. We snap you, crack you, flapjack you. We are that wild, chaotic place, that sharp edge, the point that activates your fears, the point of no return, the point where anything can happen. We always demand your death or complete surrender. You can't get beyond us, around us, or over us. You must meet us and go through us. We are the cosmic steamroller, the place of greatest opportunity. We are crisis. Pronounced Arrhenius. The Arrhenius were the forces of retribution personified as three immortal dark maiden goddesses. They took revenge and punished anyone who killed their kin in matriarchal pre-Hellenic Greece. In poet Asclepius's play, The Oresteia, Orestes, the son of Clytemnestra and Agamemnon, kills his mother, thus enraging the Arrhenius who go after him. When this trial results in a deadlock, Athene, goddess of wisdom, is called on to cast the deciding vote. Her vote sets Orestes free from any punishment for the matricide. The Erinyes, unappeased, demand vengeance. Athene consoles them with promises of special rituals in their honor. They are then renamed the Eumenides, or the kindly ones. The Erinyes are howling after you because you or a loved one are in crisis. The way to nurture wholeness for you now lies in reaching out and asking for help. Whether it is from a human, animal, or spiritual kingdoms, help is required at this juncture of excess. Psyche-breaking stress and instability. Identify the name, the kind of crisis you are in. If your crisis is psychological, call a crisis hotline or make an appointment with a healer of psyches. If your crisis is financial or job-related, seek financial assistance or find a career counselor. If it involves your health, visit a healthcare practitioner. It is vital for you to get help and support you need, for you are not in a place where you can help yourself. Do something, or ask a friend or loved one to do it for you. Crisis in your life also brings the experience of crisis into the lives of your loved ones. Don't blame yourself or try to take care of them. Be selfish. Deal with your crisis and let them deal with theirs. The Erinyes say all crises are accelerated growth transformation points that bring opportunities. However, before you get to the opportunity, you must get through the crisis, and for that, you must reach out for help. And, oh yeah, Britt says lots of Lilith energies. Definitely. Saturn's opposite Lilith right now, so that, and he just went direct, so I think that's why we're feeling that as well. And I feel that in this card as well. There's like this sort of revenge, and you know, I'm seeing this as like our shadows as well. And I liked the message to ask for help. I feel like that's one of the reasons I'm inspired to do this 11:11 meditation, because if we can come together and send this positive energy out into the universe, I hope that in some way it gets matched, right? And obviously what humanity is having to see is like, it's like these layers have been dissolving off of us of awareness, and it's not that these things haven't been happening for a long time, but we haven't been as aware, we haven't been as sensitive to them as we are now. And so as horrible as it all is, it's like as these layers dissolve, there's more and more opportunity for people to see what's actually happening and to decide to be a different way, to decide to be kinder to each other, decide to speak your truth, and to take care of yourself is something I'm hearing too. So a lot of contrasting energies right now. And I even see that in this card. Look at their golden wings, you know? Let's see if I can get it to focus a little better. So I want to pull one more card because I just want to get one more to wrap up this reading from my Earth Magic deck. Can you give us a culmination card for this reading and this energy? Iceberg submerged. Huh. There's a it's interesting because these are almost making a bridge like I was talking about, but you can see through. It's like there's a new way, there's a third way back here if we can come together. I want to see really quick what, if I can find the book, what this card says. Here it is. Iceberg. Whatever you suppress or deny and attempt to keep out of conscious awareness will show up somewhere and somehow. These are your shadow aspects. At one time, you put them out of your consciousness for good reason, yet they remain contained by shame and guilt. Sometimes these submerged aspects of yourself are projected onto others so that they mirror those denied or suppressed parts of you, and you may even harshly judge these characteristics when they are exhibited. Now is the time to allow these elements to surface and embrace them. These may make up some sort of self-expression, a secret dream you wish to accomplish, or even uglier aspects that are difficult to acknowledge or accept. Whatever you have submerged deep inside of you, this is your opportunity to pay attention to those things and welcome them to the family called you. Wow. And I want to go back to this. Up to 90% of an iceberg's body is below the surface, deeply submerged in the bosom of Grandmother Ocean. Yet Grandmother allows considerable freedom for her enormous children, permitting them to move about as dictated by the currents and their own momentum. Having broken off from a glacier or ice shelf, they float along the sea, much to the detriment of vessels that attempt to traverse their passageways. Most of us have heard stories of ill-fated ships that have had tragic encounters with these ice mountains. Although the topmost portion of an iceberg can easily be seen, there's still a massive amount of its body below the water that may be difficult to detect. And that which remains unseen can fool us and perhaps even be dangerous and damaging. So, it's all coming to the surface. And time for a rebirth. That veil is thin. If you need clarity, go within and reach out for help. And on that note, also, I'm offering Akashic Records readings now. And if you'd like one, you can sign up you can book one in the link in my bio. Also, if you want to join the 1111 meditation, there's a link in my bio for that as well. And it's totally free. I just felt called to do it. So sending you guys lots of love. It's an interesting time, and just hope you're taking good care of yourselves. All right. Love you. Bye.